Hey, what's up everybody? This is Baseball Freak 075 bringing you guys another video here today. And in today's video, it's going to be a fun video. We have my predictions for both the AL and NL MVPs and Cy Youngs. So basically what's going to happen is I have five, tiers or five players per category, so 1 through 5, and then I have an honorable mention, and I have 2 honorable mentions on one, and yeah, so each category, NL, AL, Cy Young, MVP, 1 through 5, and then honorable mention, maybe a couple more. And yeah, but before we get into the video, I just want to let you guys know, if you're enjoying what I'm doing here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and tell your friends, share the video, really help me out, because I really think we can do something with this channel if I can get out there. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so as you can see here, we have the NL MVPs, who I think, has the best chance to receive the NL MVP award in the respected, leagues. This is the National League. At first place, I have Juan Soto, and I'm not going to do it with every single player. I'm not going to show you their stats and their page on Baseball Savant, but for, the top tier person in each one, I will show you, and then, say, I have Treya Turner's also. The people that you wouldn't expect to be on this list, I will go ahead and show you why I believe, they'll be on here. So, for instance, Tatis, Freeman, Nolan Arenado, Betts. I will talk about all of them, but I'm not going to show you their stats because that'd just take way too long, and we don't really need to do that. But, so, Juan Soto, I have Juan Soto in first place. If you guys do not know, just take a look at this. This was his MLB percentile rankings last year in the 2020 season. Again, this is a shortened season, so you can't take everything you see, literally. But Juan Soto is one of those players that is going to be one of the best players, if not, the best player, probably. When Trout, loses his number 1 spot, I think Juan Soto will more than likely be the next player to take a hold of it. You can just tell there's something different about him at the batter's box. His approach, everything about that. Even his swing is just one of the best swings I've ever seen. And he's only 22 years old. So he has that much time to get better. He's already this good at 22 years old. That is ridiculous. But go ahead, just look at his exit velocity. He's in the 90th percentile, hard hit, 93. So he was literally the best. I'm not going to act like I know what every single one of these stats means by any means. I'm somebody that I take both stats and the eye test into consideration when I'm judging a player, how good I think they are. So again, I'm not going to know what every single stat means, but I'm just going to go ahead and point these out. His slugging percentage, 100th percentile, his barrel to ball ratio, 99%. He doesn't strike out a lot. I think that's what that means, that he doesn't strike out. Yeah, or maybe he does. I can't 100% tell about that. That kind of confuses me. But he's not the fastest, but he does get good jumps on the balls. That's one good thing to note about Juan Soto. He is getting better. So yeah, he will continuously. I'm never gonna say that he's gonna be a Gold Glove caliber defender, but maybe in his future. If he keeps working on himself and can keep, working on his fielding, maybe. But as of now, he's still kind of iffy in the outfield. But that's not what you care about with Juan Soto. You care about what he does in the batter's box, and I think, as you all know, if you're watching this video, if you know anything about baseball, Juan Soto has a very, very bright future. And then for the honorable mention, I have Treya Turner, and you might be thinking, what? You think he has a chance to win MVP? Maybe not so much with Juan Soto. I don't really know how that would work, because they play on the same team, so. But you never know. Trey Turner is such a good player, and he gets overlooked so much because you have shortstops like Francisco Lindor. You have shortstops such as Trevor Story. You have all these great shortstops, Fernando Tatis Jr. and not Trevor Story. Treya Turner gets overlooked because of all those other great players. Go ahead and look at his season last season. Granted, shortened season, okay, whatever, yada yada. But he still batted .335, even in a shortened season. I don't care. That's still really good. With 12 home runs through 60 games? Come on, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. With that slugging percentage, if he can keep his slugging percentage like this, if getting better power-wise, Trey Turner is a player to watch out for because his speed and power combo, that can be one of the deadliest, combinations in all of baseball. Again, he's not the craziest fielder, not bad though either, but Treya Turner is such a good player, and you just got to watch out for him. Again, we're going to go to his baseball savant numbers. Exit velocity is really good. His hard hit, a little bit to be desired. Again, don't know what is that on base average. I'm not 100% sure. People are probably going to be calling me stupid and all this stuff. And the comments. It is what it is. Like I said, I don't know every single stat, but look at that sprint speed, top tier. Last year he was amazing at slugging percentage. Outs above average. That's a stat that a lot of people don't take into account. Very important stat right there. Range-based metric skill that shows how many outs a player has. But yeah, so he gets all those, because of his speed, I assume. His arm isn't bad either. But he can get more outs, than the average shortstop, which he's not just a shortstop. He can also play. I did not know he was drafted by the Padres. Imagine if the Padres had him and Tatis. Good Lord. But he can be an outfielder. He can be a middle infielder. Trey Turner can do it all. He's kind of like, in a sense, a Jose Ramirez type kind of like player. You can throw him anywhere and he's going to be great wherever he is. Like, that's just, And, okay. So here, we have my MVP. So I showed you the stats for the people. Now I'm going to go into depth, why I think they should be there. Juan Soto, one of the best hitters in baseball already at the age of 22. I showed you guys the baseball savant metrics. Again, I'm not all about the metrics, but I think, in his case, they really do matter, and the eye test is there as well. You're going to see, everything you want to see. Fernando Tatis Jr., you guys know how good he is. Again, maybe a little premature to put him at the second spot, but all the pieces are there for a phenomenal player. He just signed the massive extension. I know that doesn't mean anything in this sense, but just Fernando Tatis is one of those players that you just know is going to be a stud for a long time, and I had to put him in here, especially on that Padres team that's loaded lineup-wise and even pitching-wise now. He's going to get a lot of pitches to hit, I would assume, with that lineup, and we're going to see if he can just replicate what he did last year throughout the entirety of the season. Freddie Freeman, again, you guys know how good he is coming off an MVP season. He's always been very solid. Pretty underrated, honestly, even though he is the best first baseman. He kind of gets underlooked by a lot of people. Don't know why. Just as a player, not like as a first baseman, but he gets kind of overshadowed by other players just because he's at first base. Nolan Arenado, kind of biased. I'm putting him here. I will even agree, but I think if he can replicate, any one of his seasons that he's had in Coors Field, in Busch Stadium, hit 40 home runs, hit 280 to 300. If he can do that and play his Platinum Glove defense, I think he has a very, very, very good chance to win the MVP. Again, we're going to have to see what he does, but personally, I think he's going to do just fine. I think last year was just a down year. He was dealing with a shoulder injury. I mean, you have to put that into consideration. Then I got Mookie Betts at number 5. He's the most consistent player on that team. Great player every single season. He can do it all. We don't really need to go over that. And then, like I discussed earlier, Trey Turner. So now we're going to move on to the NL Cy Youngs. So first place, I have Jacob Degrom. I guess this time through, I'll describe all the players, and then I will show you the stats I have for a couple of them, or the metrics, whatever you want to call it. So Jacob Degrom, you guys all know how good he is. Best pitcher in baseball, no doubt. Gets better every year. He reminds me a lot of Justin Verlander. You know how he started out really good and then got better as time went on? It's exactly how Jacob Degrom reminds me. Max Scherzer, a lot of people are kind of down on him because he's getting older. And granted, he wasn't the same pitcher that, he isn't the same pitcher that we have seen in the previous years. Last season, he still had a 3.5 ERA and was still in the top of the league in strikeouts. So he struggled a little bit at the beginning, but really got it back together towards the end. And just because I don't just take 1 year into consideration, especially in a down year. It really hurt the pitchers more so than the batters because the pitchers didn't, have their schedule to get ready and all that. like how they. It definitely affects pitchers way more than batters. Batters can, adjust on the fly, all that. Pitchers need to have their time to get ready and all that. And I really think that might have been the reason, why he struggled early on, why a lot of pitchers struggled last year. Um, but definitely, I think Scherzer still gets that 2 spot in my mind. And Bauer, I'm not Bauer's biggest fan, but after the season he had last season, you can't not put him on the list. I mean, like I say, I'm not his biggest fan, but his season last year was amazing. Blake Snell, I'm going to go ahead and throw him in here. He had a really solid postseason with the Rays. Coming into the National League, don't know how well he will do, but I expect he'll do just fine. He is one of the filthiest sliders in baseball. I'm not his biggest fan, but he's a really good pitcher, so you just got to give that to him. And then Yu Darvish, he hasn't been super consistent. The previous year he had a good ERA, 3.02, and then last season he did amazing. But last season when Yu Darvish was on, this is simply the reason I put him on the list. Last season when he was on, he is one of the best pitchers I think I have ever seen when he was on last season. He did crazy things, like people looked so silly when they were trying to face Yu Darvish. I was watching him against the Cardinals lineup. Granted, they're not like a crazy good lineup, they're going to be a lot better this season. But he made every single one of them look like they had no idea what they were doing. Partially, that's probably one because he throws so hard, and two because he has like 7 or 8 different pitches that he throws just whenever he wants. But anyways, he looked so deceptive last year, so filthy. And I had to put him on this list. And then honorable mention, Luis Castillo. He just keeps getting better every season. Has the filthiest pitch, honestly, breaking pitch. Was rated by MLB and all of baseball as changeup. That pitch is just devastating, knee buckling. And Jack Flaherty. I wanted to put Buehler over Flaherty, but I don't know. I'm one of those people that has a little more stock in Flaherty than Walker Buehler. That might just be my bias. I think they're both very good, very phenomenal, but I like what I've seen more from Flaherty than Buehler, and I don't know if that's because there's all those other great pitchers on the Dodgers pitching staff, but I'm just a little bit more keen on Flaherty stuff. So, yeah, we'll get into that. Why I think, Degrom's obviously the best. You guys don't really need to have me sit here and explain every single thing to you, but you can see for yourself. I mean, he doesn't really allow, anything. His strikeout rating is one of the best in baseball. He doesn't walk a lot of batters. His fastball spin is good, and his velocity is crazy. He throws like a 102-mile-an-hour fastball, and his curveball spin isn't the best. When you throw 102, it doesn't matter, how much your curveball spins. Anything off speed is gonna really get the hitter off balance, and he is just phenomenal. He only gets better with age. Eventually, sometime it's gonna stop, but right now, it's looking really good for him. Best pitcher in baseball, no doubt. And then here we have Luis Castillo. Again, his stats were pretty good last season. Why can't I find? Oh yeah, his ERA was 3.21. His ERA the previous year is 3.4. So he's keeping his runs down. Again, a lot of strikeouts. What's it? Does it have his K per 9? Yeah. 10.7, then it went up to 11.4. That's elite, territory we're getting into right there. Very solid, very solid. And again, with that changeup, just so filthy. And he's only 28, so he is, he's not even really in his prime yet. But kind of like I say, here you go, his fastball, just will. Almost as fast as Degrom's. Not quite, but close. He doesn't have a lot of spin on that fastball, though, too. So that's, kind of suspect. But when you're throwing it that fast and then mix it up with his breaking balls, I don't really think it matters. He has an average slider, but that changeup, good Lord, that changeup is just lights out, like I said. He limits the barrel to ball ratio, so that's good. He does have a slight, walking issue. Like, he doesn't really control his pitches the best. When you have as filthy stuff as he does, though, doesn't necessarily matter, but it does matter, but not necessarily as much as, say it would to other people. Here we have the AL Cy Young candidates. Shane Bieber, the best pitcher in the American League, in my opinion. I know more people probably than not would say Garrett Cole is the best. I think Bieber is, honestly, like the best without even really like looking that much into it. Garrett Cole's really good. I think people kind of, take Garrett Cole's Astros past with him into New York. I don't think he's the pitcher that, not saying he's bad, but I don't think he's quite on the same level that he was in Houston and New York. I think that's safe to say. Giolito, I think he's a really good up-and-coming pitcher. Threw a no-hitter. He threw a no-hitter last season. One of those pitchers that just when he's on, he is amazing. Really good. Took him a while to figure out, how to get into his groove, but once he got into it, there's no stopping him. He looks really good. Ryu, one of the most underrated players, in my opinion. He gets overlooked by a lot of other pitchers, such as the ones on this list. Verlander, I don't care how old he is, he's still tearing it up. He wasn't, pitching last season, so we're going to have to see how he does, but I still have enough faith in him. I still think if he can, throw as hard as he does, he's going to be just fine. He's like a fine wine, as Draft Nick Mark would say. He just gets better as time goes on. And then we have Kenta Maeda. Again, had a breakout year last season. He honestly was doing really good on the Dodgers, but they just never gave him the opportunity to start because of all the other pitchers they had. So I'm glad that he's blossoming in Minnesota with the Twins. But, I will go to Shane Bieber. You can see he doesn't really allow the ball to be hit very hard. Has a crazy good ERA, has a really good strikeout rate, doesn't throw the hardest, but has a lot of spin. He has that just disgusting changeup. He has a lot of good pitches. That cutter's elite. Just a really solid pitcher. Again, not the craziest pitches, but he mixes them so well that that's why he does so good. As you can see, he doesn't 69 percentile of walks, nice, and he just strikes out everybody. He's 25 years old. The young pitching in this game, the game of baseball, is just ridiculous. And then here we have Kenta Maeda, super underrated. Put on a Cy Young contending, finished second. Put on a Cy Young contending season this season. Went ahead and had himself a 2.7 ERA. Decent amount of strikeouts, not the best strikeout pitcher, but this season, this particular year, amazing. He had one bad year with the Dodgers. I guess I don't want to even say they're really bad. They're just not great. But he really showed this year if he's like a starter consistently, he can really become something special. And we're gonna go over here and show you guys his exit velocity. Again, I don't know. I think that means it's good if it's all the way up here, which means he doesn't give up. They don't hit the ball very hard off of him. But he doesn't throw very fast at all, which kind of sucks. But he mixes his pitches really good, just like Bieber does. Really good strikeout percentage. Does not walk hardly anybody. That is probably the best thing about Kenta Maeda is his control. That is definitely why he doesn't allow a ton of runs and why he did so good last season. But whatever he did with the Twins, he needs to replicate that, and I think he has another chance at a Cy Young if he can pitch like that. And we're going to go on to the AL MVP candidates finally. Again, you all know Mike Trout, best player in baseball. Don't really need to go over that. Jose Ramirez, I have him at the second spot. It's debatable. I just went ahead and threw him up there because, we'll see. He definitely has the potential to. I probably should have put him a little lower, but, he can play any position. He plays it well. He does amazing at the plate. He is hot and cold. He is a very hot and cold hitter, but when he's on, he does amazing. And like you guys saw last season, he went from a player to finished what did he finish? I think second or third in the MVP voting, just over basically a month and a half span. He turned on the afterburners and just destroyed. Jose Abreu, again, somebody that's pretty underrated. He's not the craziest player, but he did win MVP. He had a really good season last season. Aaron Judge, if he can stay healthy, you always want to put him on your MVP list, but can he stay healthy? We don't know. That's why he's kind of on the lower tier. Bregman, he put on 30 pounds of muscle. We're going to have to see if he can still, be athletic and stuff with all that, I would assume. But sometimes people gain all this weight and they don't know how to use it. So we're going to see. I would assume Bregman's good enough that he'll be able to figure it out, though. And then you always want to have Mayhew on your honorable mention list because he's somebody that's going to hit over 300. It seems like every single season he just can't not hit under 300 for whatever reason. He's just one of the best pure hitters that I've seen. Okay, and we will go and dive into, Mike Trout. We don't need to say much. We know how good Mike Trout is. He's still elite speed-wise too. He's not as good as he used to be in the field, but he doesn't get the best jumps, but his speed clearly makes up for it. Like, he can get those really late jumps, but he has the speed to get himself out of it. And right now he can do it, but later on in his career we're gonna have to see where it goes. But again, elite, the best of the best. We don't need to really stay here any longer and talk about it. And then Jose Ramirez. This might have surprised a lot of people, but just look at his stats. He's finished in in top 5 in MVP voting 3 times already. Again, his best season was in 2018, 39 home runs, 105 RBIs. Isn't the absolute craziest batting average-wise when he hits a lot of home runs, but he still is so good. I mean, you can 17 home runs in 60 games. Think about that. When he played, he had half the at-bats that he had the previous season and hit more home runs. Or excuse me, hit almost the same amount of home runs. He hit 6 less home runs and half, the plate appearances. If he had a full season, I'd be hard-pressed to say he wouldn't hit over 45 home runs, 45 or maybe more home runs. If we played a full season last year and, Jose Ramirez could have kept at that pace, which, again, we don't know because he is very hot and cold. If he could have kept that pace, MVP, no doubt. And, we're going to go ahead and check here. Baseball Savant, just shows how good of a player he is. Doesn't strike out a whole lot. I still believe that's what that means. Above average speed-wise, isn't the fastest. A good, decent defender, 69th percentile, nice. One of the best ratings you can have. Again, that's just jokes. But, he's not the best at everything, but he's so solid at everything. That's why he's so good. Because he's, just so good at everything. He's just so good at everything. Not elite in anything, but so good at everything. He's like a jack of all trades. He's like a Ben Zobrist on steroids, honestly. Is kind of like how I see Jose Ramirez. Just so good. And he's a switch hitter, which, Zobrist was as well. Alright, again, if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share, tell all your friends, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Peace out.